Nowadays, more and more photographers are using drones to capture stunning photos and video. You might already be one of these drone users, or you might be in the process of purchasing your first drone. Last year, I was on the side of looking for my first drone to take my compositions to the next level. So whether you're using drones or in the process of learning, today I'm gonna go over some common mistakes that you can fix to instantly improve your aerial compositions. And hopefully answer the question you've been asking yourself, should I get a drone? I'm Nick Boris from Lively Productions with over a decade of shooting in fields like exotic supercars, modeling, and being a naval photographer and filmmaker. Here on my channel, we go over a bunch of my tips to help you grow as a wildlife, landscape, and outdoor lifestyle photographer and filmmaker. I love hearing from you all, so comment below the type of drone you use or the one you want. It can be very exciting once you have your drone, get it up in the air, and start seeing the world in a whole new perspective. It's really one of the coolest things about aerial drone photography. You literally have a miniature helicopter at your fingertips. When you're flying about, make sure you're thinking about your composition. Besides having great lighting, moody scenes, or an actionable subject with landscape photography, you want to layer the lines and shapes in your image in an interesting way that tells a captivating story. The great thing about drones is that you have infinite perspectives in which you can choose a composition from. One of my favorite ways to show balance is shooting top down of the curvy mountain roads in the Appalachian Mountains. On my drone, I like to set both my diagonal grids and the horizontal and vertical grids. This helps me compose my images so that I have better balance between either my subject or all the different objects in my photo around my subject. Then during post-production, I fine-tune this. No matter what though, we still have to keep in mind what's beyond composition, and that's light. Before we go out flying, what do you think we could do to get the best photos possible? The answer is research. Also, the ability to fly kind of matters too. Simply, you can wait until you're on location to see if you're in an authorized fly zone, or you can use drone apps like Drone Assist. Well, before I even hit the road with my camera gear, I spent time sitting at my computer and scouring the internet for locations. Firstly, I hop on Google and will research aerial shots, where I plan on going, looking at interesting compositions and landmarks. Of course, I double check on Google Maps to make sure they're not near airports or inside national parks or other no-fly zones. Then I head over to Instagram, where I find even better photos naturally for inspiration. To me, this is such an important part of the process because it allows me to ask myself, how did they get that shot? And if you ask this question, it will naturally inspire creativity. And this also helps me dictate how I plan out my day. Here in the Appalachian Mountains, you generally have fog and mist rolling over the mountains here in the morning, followed by more clear skies in the evening with dramatic sunsets. If I find a location and there seems to be a lot of fog in the photos there, chances are there's usually fog in the mornings. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to check my weather app, looking for the conditions of possible fog. Then I'm gonna wake up super early, grab my energy drink, and do my best to get to the site, hike to where I need to be, and shoot on those mornings. If we're gonna shoot in foggy and windy conditions though, we have to come prepared. Now I'm always pushing my drone to the max, like the time it fell out of the sky right as the sun was setting. The light was breaking through the clouds and over the mountains. It was beautiful. Then the battery started dropping rapidly after reaching about 25%. Now I thought I easily had 8 minutes to get my shot and get my drone back so I could land it safely. But my drone had other plans and started to auto-land in the dense forest, where it then continued to bounce from tree branch to tree branch like a drone pinball. So with how hard that I fly my drones, my average battery consumption is around 25 minutes or so. Most drones are around 30 minutes. Some of them say like 40 minutes. Even when I plug mine in, it says that I have 57 minutes of battery, which just isn't true. So yes, this is dependent on the weather conditions and how rough those weather conditions are and or the mode you're flying in. For example, being in sport mode versus tripod can cause your battery to drain faster. This is why I carry 3 batteries with me on every shoot. When we're shooting though, we have to make sure that we have the appropriate settings to capture those award-winning shots. Don't make the mistake of shooting in JPEG. JPEG will compress your images and the data in your images, rendering you completely helpless in the post-processing. JPEG essentially reduces the amount of the editable data in the photo. Because of this compression, you could say goodbye to your color and luminance range, the range that you're able to edit. You have a lot more range in RAW. With JPEG's compression, it just compresses it and you're gonna lose out on all that data. When you take a photo in RAW, also labeled DNG in drones, this gives you the widest range of editable data, leaving you feeling like an editing wizard, being able to manipulate almost everything in the photo you wish to. Now to get the most out of your raw files, make sure to go into your camera settings and set your aspect ratio to either a 3:2 or 4:3. Most full frame cameras shoot in these aspect ratios. If you leave your drone set at 60:9, this is going to be the smallest aspect ratio, meaning it's going to be collecting the least amount of data. So make sure you have this turned off, otherwise you're going to be risking capturing poorer quality photos. And now that we have our aspect ratio set, we're shooting in RAW. Let's take this up another level. Your drone should have a setting labeled AEB for automatic exposure bracketing. This mode simply takes 3 photos. 1 photo a stop of light down, 1 where the camera measures a perfect exposure, and 1 photo a stop of light brighter. Now when you get home, plug your drone or SD card into the computer and begin editing. You can combine those photos for a stunning HDR balanced image. Now we're not done yet, because we can't leave those images the way that they are straight out of camera. I mean, I guess you could, but they're going to be flat and boring. So often though, I've seen photos that are way under edited and photos that are way too processed. Now this is just all part of the learning curve. I've done both of those things plenty of times. What we don't want though are flat, boring, unedited photos straight out of camera. This is usually seen with JPEG photos, and that is not a good way to depict the beautiful story that you work so hard to get. And we don't want to over process the photos to the point where they look obviously unnatural, like you're tripping out and seeing colors at 100% saturation. Always color correct your images, crop if you have to or want to, and add your own style to take them to the next level. Just don't overdo it, please. Unless you are trying to make trippy photos and it's all intentional. This comes with looking at other photographers you like and practicing what you like about their photos on your own photos. Again, developing your own style. For me, depending on the season, I like a more moody look to my images. Flatter blacks and the colors of the season really standing out while muting the others so that they don't distract from the image. Lastly, unless it's intentional, please correct your horizon lines. Skewed images can be disorientating, and unless that's the goal, like you're intentionally doing it, we should avoid causing that reaction to our viewers. Unless you're trying to shoot in a way that causes disorientation, or the story you're trying to tell is like maybe, someone getting caught in an avalanche or something crazy and chaotic happening, you don't want to create that type of impact on the viewer. Doesn't really bring us the warm and fuzzies when we're looking at beautiful landscapes. Now, putting all this into practice will take time, but you need to always be challenging yourself to grow and become a better storyteller. I suggest just implementing 1 or a couple of these at a time to really grasp their understanding and then move on to the next item to practice. Because if you want more and more people to see your work and you want to feel that just amazing feeling of watching yourself progress and get better and better, but you're not putting in the time to get better and to challenge yourself or to understand how your equipment works, photography theory, or even color theory, then no matter what, you're just still not going to be taking good photos. But that's not you, because I can already tell you're going to put these things into practice and be taking great photos. Now, I'm sure that there's a lot more, so if you have anything you'd like to add, please put it in the comment section below so that people can go down there and actually continue learning and then research those things, or maybe I'll make another video on those things as well. Found the information in this video helpful or valuable in any way, shape, or form, please give it a like, because it really does help the channel grow. And if you enjoy content like this, consider subscribing. I am planning on putting out roughly 100 videos this year. Now I'm gonna go record all the B-roll for this, and I'll see you guys in the next one.